making a mess, yeah.
Well, hello. Oh my goodness, I haven't said hello in like bricks. I'm trying to keep my channel like lighthearted and still silly sometimes, you know, because I did have a wave of like being extremely serious and like analytical, only because I just didn't want my channel to be like based off of like a niche like pranks and like only just not being taken seriously, you know, because then when it's time to get serious, people don't know who you are. So just think you're like joking all the time, and you're, you know, and I'm serious, at least half the time. So today I just thought it would be good to get some things off my chest, and I thought it would be good to get some things off my chest, you know, some old things that were kind of awkward, but it was still like funny, you know. It wasn't like, when I say awkward, there's like different genres of story times. There's like crazy story times where like something crazy probably was happening, and then there's awkward where it was like, you know, you could call it crazy, but it was more so like just like a moment, or like, you know, just like questionable, like what is going on. And I'm over 18, I'm over 21, so this is particularly geared towards people that are at least the age of consent for socks. I just learned that word like yesterday or the day before. It's like a Roblox bleep word. I've been trying to never play Roblox. Anyway, fun fact about me, I actually have never really played Fortnite or Roblox. What else have I just never done? Like a lot of things. Oh man, I should do like things that I've never done yet, and it's gonna like not probably be that surprising because I'm kind of like a sheltered individual, but it would be cool probably to hear. And just like, I have so many like firsts to still do, and I just turned 26, so yay and nay. Well, yay mostly because of life, but to life. Anyway, these are just, like I said, awkward sexual encounters. If you couldn't tell, I be trying to cuss less in my videos because it's so annoying to edit out. So these are like a couple of times I ended up doing the do. What is that mark? Oh my god, every time I do something to my face, it turns red. Oh, okay, I just shaved like the middle of my brow. You know, I don't even care. Let's do this first time like this, like Ariana Grande. I should be like, film my left side. So, these are just like random things that I just so happen to just like think about from time to time. Just naturally, I don't dwell on things. I literally try to laugh most days if I'm not like, you know, trying to do other things for myself that I actually need to do. This right now is my job since I don't have one. These are basically from in between the time I lost my VV card to like now. But I'm not like a socks having ass person for real. Like, it's usually kind of spaced out how often it happens. Like sometimes I'll go like months or like weeks, or like, only because it's like a choice. It's like, it's not like I'm just like long legged and shit. I literally just be like, see my legs? We're closed for business until I feel like a ninja's not gonna waste my time. So I'm gonna basically talk about like the years that kind of happened, just so it kind of like makes sense, so I don't sound like a lot of this happened this year and I'm just jumping up and down and shit. But the first story I have to share that I thought would be something that is classified as awkward AF. I think I kind of talked about this already, but I kind of talked about this on my story before. I talked about this on my channel before, but I didn't put in a slew of other awkward things that would make it like more lighthearted. So granted, I don't really tell story times to cause anything, and I usually don't talk about things until way after, at least, you know, YouTube wise. So this is the time a dude basically lied to me about breaking up with his girlfriend, like officially. And after we did the do, like I would say within the hour of us, no, within like 30 minutes of us doing the do, the girlfriend DM'd me. And this was like, I'm gonna just put the story time right here for the long version, because I don't want this video to be like 49 minutes and 49 minutes and 49 seconds. Basically 49 minutes cubed. So long story short, since this one's like less like awkward and more just effed up, but it was still awkward. It was just some dude that was like really like a friend in like high school and shit, like some acquaintance and shit. And then we would like talk on social media very sparingly and shit. And then when we'd see each other, it was just like, oh, he seems like a party dude, like a party going type. And then like just, I thought that he liked me. So he basically, in a condensed version, he basically told me for a couple weeks at a point in the summer of 2020, I think, or the 2019, I don't even remember in full. He told me that him and his girlfriend were like experiencing issues and stuff, and they were like on a break. But then he made it really seem like he was really done with her. And I didn't just jump straight into anything with him. I was really like taking my time. Like I was their friend. Yeah, long story short, one day it eventually happened, and then it kind of happened. And after every time it would happen, he would either say he talked to his girlfriend and then blah blah blah, and he would also be like they didn't really resolve anything and blah 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 blah. So yeah, one day it happened, and then it was like 5 or 6 a.m. or 7, like it was like mad early. And then I get a DM, because I think, you know, just social media, and then young people, they go through their partners following and stuff like that, or just comments and likes or whatever they're doing through activity, like Instagram's a snitch. So I'm pretty sure it was easy to find my social media. And then she just DM'd me and asked if anything was happening between us, and I said no, only to solidify that we shouldn't be doing that if you're in something confusing, or you're just back and forth, you don't make up your mind basically. And then yeah, I just kind of really slowly deaded it. And then I think they also kind of mutually did it, because it was just like they felt bad, and then they did formally apologize and all that. So we're done. It was just really awkward, because I didn't want to like lie, but technically it wasn't anything serious. It was just like, never mind, bro. Oh, this is the same person. So this is the second story. This is the same person I just talked about. And if you watch the story time I just put on the screen, this would make more sense what I'm about to say, or it would make sense as to why this was incredibly awkward for me. And I didn't really think anything much of it, because they weren't outwardly crazy towards me or anything. So one time we had finished doing the do, and they had like a house So then we would typically kind of go to the basement. That was like their living space, kind of, or like just the space they would go to often. And long story short, I woke up one time after we had finished doing what we were doing, and I woke up upstairs. Like, I think it was like a 2-story house on top of the basement. So I woke up all the way upstairs in a room at the end of the house on the bed, and I literally woke up and they were just like staring at me. So awkward. I was just like, it was kind of like some cartoons when they sleeping and they just go. No, that was incredibly awkward. It was just like, one, I was like, how did I get up here without waking up? Mind you, that's something that I'm a little worried about sometimes. It's like, I've noticed sometimes. Now, this is not my fault, honestly, because people shouldn't be doing anything to anyone while they're sleeping. Like, heinously, you know what I'm saying? But that's another story for another time. It bothers me that sometimes people will tell me, like, oh, you're a heavy sleeper, like, I did this and that while you were asleep and you didn't wake up, or I was making noise and you didn't wake up, blah, 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 blah. And then other times I'm like a super light sleeper. Like, it's odd. It's odd. It's like I sleep, and then when I sleep sometimes, I notice if I'm dreaming or like in between sleep and being awake, it feels like I'm awake and asleep at the same time. Like, one time I literally was asleep. I had probably stayed up all night or something, disrupting my sleep pattern and shit. And I was literally asleep and I was having a dream, like a vivid ASS dream. And my eyes were physically awake or open. In the real world, like, I saw where my surroundings were. I knew the difference between my surroundings and the dream so instantly. It was so easy to tell I was awake. And then I literally fell immediately back to sleep, and the dream continued. And when I was a child, I used to wish that would happen during some of my favorite fucking dreams, but it wouldn't happen sometimes. And I think it did happen once or twice, but yeah, that time, it was very recently, by the way. And it was such a long dream. It was literally probably like 20-30 minutes, and it had a whole like storyline. I woke up and this person was just staring at me, and it was kind of like literally like a movie where your eyes are slowly opening, and then like whatever's happening is kind of like shaky, and then it's like blurry, and then it's clearing up. It was like 3 of their heads straightening into one, and I was just like, why, how, and why? And they were just like, oh, sorry, like really just abruptly. And I think they kissed my forehead or something. Like, I was like tucked in. That's why I have a lot of insecurity about sleeping a full 6 or 8 hours, because I just want to wake up in case somebody's trying to do anything to me. And that's not the worst thing that happened to me while I was asleep around someone that I figured I could trust. That was like very, very safe compared to other things I could talk about, but it did creep me out because it was just like concerning. And then I just was like creeped out. And then you're like, why are you, how long have you been staring at me? Did you like stare me awake? Like, your eye contact was probably like loud enough to wake me up, because there wasn't any noise in the room. Now that I think back, that is wild. I do remember that shit. Anyway, oh yeah, and that happened in 2020 as well. And the next one that I have, was with like someone I was kind of like, it was definitely like not just a friend thing and then some BS. But long story short, me and this dude were like dating at one point, and then I think they took me to like a hotel party. This is like 2020 or maybe 2019. I don't even know. It was like early on in my little activities pertaining to that. And we went to like this little hotel party thing. Now that I look back at my 26-year-old age, this dude probably was in there motherfucking moving around, right? Probably just, I don't know. I didn't assume like they were like that, because they didn't act like they were like frivolous. But you know, anyway, I saw a bunch of different people in the hotel, and then like they would like be in and out sometimes, and I was just like, I didn't really think too much of it because I was like young. So it was like 2020, and we were in we went to the bathroom, and we both took a psychedelic that night, I think. Well, yeah. And then we went to the bathroom, and we went to the bathroom, and you already know, like, people, they get all intrigued and shit. And then we were just kind of just messing around, and then well, long story short, the deal was happening, or it was about to happen, and I was so painfully shy when I was like this age. Like, I was always painfully shy, but it got so much better. Like, even though I'm still like kind of a little awkward in my own way, it's not so painful to do the simplest interactions or things. Like, when I say painful, it doesn't pain me to speak. Granted, I'm still shy AF. Anyway, this thing was about to happen, like the dudes and whatnot. And the dude was trying to I was shy, right? So I turned the light off because I didn't want them to see me looking all stupid. And they kept, let me tell you, fool. They turned the light on, and I turned it off. They turned it on, and they kept trying to continue. Then I kept turning the light off. And then eventually, after like doing that back and forth, like probably for like 20 seconds, trying to be funny, right? They just stopped. Well, I mean, no, it kept going, but they stopped trying to like fight with me. But then when it was done, I turned the light on, like, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm just shy. And they were just like, you know what? Why did you do that? Anyway, that shit was funny though. I'm just calling it awkward because it was the fact that they kept trying to continue like that. Anyway, this next story is the same person. And this one's just, it's not so bad. It's literally a natural process that happens in your body. But it was just awkward for me. And they literally kept saying it was fine. And I was just like, what do you mean? It's not that deep. It's just like, you wouldn't think that would happen. But anyway, at this point when I was doing the do with them, this is like pretty much the same time, same year. It was like 2020 or something like that. We were out somewhere in some park or some shit. or somewhere in the car, in their car, and we were being bad. So you already know the socks happened, and at the end, like basically I physically like removed myself off of them quickly because I felt like something was happening and it was going to get on them. And I didn't know that let me just say, I thought my period wasn't gonna come like that day. So I was just squeezing and penciling in, you know, my last minutes. Just trying to race your biological clock. But at the end, you know, when we were pretty much finishing the dues, I literally jump off or jump back or something, and then telling you for like my period started in like I don't think it got on them, you know what I'm saying? But I think it definitely got in the vehicle, like on the seat or something. It was just kind of the way it came out. It was like you know what it was similar to? It was like, you know, when pregnant people, their mucus plug like falls out and it's just like a lot. It was like that, but like blood, like straight up. Period. That was mad awkward, and I was just like, yo, he's probably thinking this is so gross, and he was just like, wait. No. And I was just like, I'm sorry. And I kept saying I'm sorry, and I just kept laughing about it the entire fucking rest of the night or day, whatever it was. That was fun. I figured like, oh my god, my womanly bodily functions is so bad. And they were just like, it was just the rush of it, like, and it threw me off. It threw me off, and I didn't even feel like cramps or anything, because usually before my period, I know, like the week before my period, it feels like my back is twisting like a washcloth, and then it also feels like my emotions are kind of revving up, and then during my period, it's just mostly the physical pain. So that was fun. And this next time, this is like years later, this is like 2024. Okay. And I was kind of like talking to somebody, you know, I was getting to know somebody, and I just had met them or whatever, and I thought they were, you know, not attractive, if that makes sense. So I wasn't super impressed at the time to have the world handed to me, you know. Actually, I've never really been like that, for real. Like, I'm not really like, I have standards and like boundaries and stuff, but I'm never the type that feels like I have a literal checklist that a ninja should follow in order to get in my trousers. But now I'm being a little more strict about that shit, because people, like, not just dudes act like this, but people just actually don't care out here. Like, they don't. Anyway. All right, so here's what happened. I was talking to them, and we're adults, so it was like, it's whatever. And then the do was about to happen, but not like down there. It was like what is this, second base? Just not the type of socks that can make a baby. And I was about to go ahead and start. And then I, out of nervousness, because I don't know, out of nervousness, sometimes even during simple interactions, I giggle and laugh a lot, and people think I'm laughing at them or like something's wrong. And it's no, I'm just getting on my nervous jitters. So right before I was about to go ahead and do the do on this individual, I literally giggled by accident, and it was just like they looked at me like, "What's funny?" And I just looked at them like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't want you to think what you're thinking, because I already know like women are not the only people with like anxiety around. Am I good enough? Am I this? Am I that?" Like, I feel like some people make that somebody else's problem sincerely too much, and then some people, they just take the yes or the no or the whatever, and there's no explanation required. I accidentally giggled because I was nervous, and I actually wanted to tell them like it was fine. Like, they were fine, but they just assumed I was laughing at them, and it still happened. I think afterwards they were a little more quiet instead of like talkative, and they responded to some texts, and then they were texting me a little bit, and then after that I think we just didn't talk anymore. And I feel bad because I wanted to ask if they were okay or if anything happened, but I didn't want to like push them and make anything worse. If that person out there is watching, I was not laughing at you. And that was so awkward because, oh my god, I had to literally like pray that they didn't think like that, because that's probably like people's worst fears, is somebody that's like firstly rejecting them sometimes, and then people overthink, so then it's just like, damn it, because I overthink too. I feel bad, but if you're watching this out there, you are enough. This was in 2024. This was like a friend of, you know, it was, no, let me not say friend. It was like a neighbor that I kind of had known throughout the years, but we didn't talk ever until like around this year, basically. So I knew them since like 2018, or knew of them, but by 2024 was the time we probably did something. So this dude basically took me to his friend's house, and while his friend was in the shower, like he jumped in the shower before work for like 15 minutes, this ninja takes me into the closet to do the do. And then like I wasn't really in the mood, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really know them that well, or I didn't think they really like liked me. I think they just wanted to do the do, which is easy to very much so tell now what type of dudes I don't want to just be doing it with, you know? Like, if they're just extremely mean to you for no reason, or just they just have this weird vendetta against you, and then it's like it feels like their life mission to make you feel how they feel, maybe about themselves, or like, no, just really just how they think you're trying to make them feel. So it was just uncomfortable that it was happening, but I was going through a lot this time. I'm not gonna lie, it was literally like the beginning of a really rough time for me, outside of like grieving and stuff like that. But yeah, they just did that in the closet, and then after their friend jumped out of the shower, they just acted like nothing happened, and they just left. And I was just kind of like, okay, that was just not really, it was just awkward. I felt like they just used me like a cigarette or something. What else? This last one is from like 2025. So this year wasn't as bad as how 2024 felt, in my opinion. It was more like comedic, or like there was more comedic relief throughout 2025 than 2024. It was kind of like that. I made sure it was like that for myself. This person who I really don't really feel comfortable around, because I was staying by them and I was giving them a chance to kind of like show me who they are and stuff like that. And you know, as I mentioned, you don't want anybody doing anything to you in your sleep or anything. And this person was the type of person that was kind of pushing those boundaries and stuff. And I cut it very short with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were cool and all, but I was very uncomfortable with stuff like that. And they were acting like we had to share a room, and it was very uncomfortable. This person, mind you, I'm a small woman, so not every dude is Goliath, but I ain't gonna lie, everything honestly feels like that to me when people don't take their time. And then, like, you know, if it just feels like they're just trying to get it over with, it's very painful. Because I feel like dudes, they feel like corn is supposed to teach them everything about socks, or like that's what socks is what they see online, or like, you know, sometimes whatever. Anyway, this person tended to take a while, in my opinion, to finish. And I'm not the type of woman that wants to go for like 50 hours. Like, I don't mind if we're really close, or like I really like you, or you really like me. I don't mind if it's like happening, but it felt like it would go on a lot longer, or past the expiration, right? So I would have times when I felt like I didn't get a chance to like complete the mission, if you know what I'm saying. In terms of like, you know, if it's a 2 people thing, they get to get their rocks and I don't. But then sometimes I would run into people that it felt like they just wouldn't, I'm hungry. It felt like they wouldn't be able to finish. And I'm just like, okay. And I feel like I didn't want to assume that people were taking anything or being, you know, having any issues and stuff like that. But I also wasn't trying to just judge anybody, you know? Like, I ain't perfect, but yeesh, bro. It would literally, sometimes, we did it a few times, right? And then I already know that protection makes it just a little more unpleasant. Just naturally, because I have sensitivities to like latex like a bitch, but I still use it, especially with like ninjas, right? So this one particular time, I noticed, yeah, like we would do it, and then I would notice it was taking a while, and they would just be okay with like having to sometimes do it for themselves, like, you know. And I'm not a, what's it called, corn star, you know, like I'm not trying to be something that's like rented and then off to the streets you go, like, and I feel like that was like their impression of me. Like, they just saw me as like attractive and ooh, sex. Anyway, this particular time they just took a break. It was literally like past an hour and a half, and then I was in a lot of pain, to the point where I literally went numb. And then they just kept going, like ramming really bad. And I was just like, dude, I don't have sex that often. I don't crack my, like a pistachio, like, you know, it was kind of like, if you think about a pistachio, that's kind of more on the side of like, you have to take your time to open it. It's kind of like a ninja taking a jar of like full ass coconut oil and cracking it. It's like, dude, you're just fucking everything up. Like, don't do that. It's kind of like the equivalent of someone taking their teeth and genuinely grazing you the entire time with no regard. And this particular time took like more than an hour or two. And I felt so bad because I would explain to them over and over again. I was in pain. Eventually, I just didn't want it to be happening anymore. And then I had said that prior to it happening. And I think they just really kind of coerced it to happen. After like an hour and a half, I was playing dead. Like I was acting like I fell asleep. And then I think I genuinely did like fall asleep. And I felt bad because I was telling them, like, you know, I wasn't trying to make them feel bad or anything. But I just feel like they were making me feel bad by not caring about what I wanted. And like in the slightest, it was just like their sexual needs mattered more than my trauma and pain. But Lord knows, I did that really fast. Like I just left. That's the time that's the time I played dead during SCX or socks. And we wouldn't really talk about it with like the encounters after they would happen. So, those are my most awkward sexual encounters. And ladies, men, especially ladies, sex is not supposed to be something that's shameful, right? It's a human thing. I always felt kind of like guilty or weird for talking about things like that. Like, because for one, I just feel like people make it seem like women have to be like incredibly modest to be like, what's the word? When I say modest, like just in terms of how they think about periods and natural normal things and like embarrassing moments and things like that. Like they're made to feel like guilty or dirty or shamed for being a woman or surrounding the same topics that men get to talk about freely and do and be like. And mind you, in this day and age, a lot of people are holding men and women accountable for just all types of new things that we used to kind of brush over in past generations and stuff. But it is taking a while for people to not shame women for sexuality, or not even just sexuality, because I'm not the most free-spirited person when it comes to sex and stuff. I'm just not a nun, and I'm just not pressed either. You know, like I'm not going out of my way to do it just to, you know. I like to catch a vibe. I really lean towards being like demisexual for real, but you know, life comes at you sometimes, and different choices lead you to different places. So you just have to go with the flow sometimes, like, or you know, change of directions and stuff like that. But yeah, some of those were more lighthearted and funny, and then some of them were kind of like telling why I'm so distrusting of men. men, and why I don't even know sometimes what to say when somebody shows interest in me, like even just DMs, or like just like people trying to talk to me at stores, or the fucking gas station, or in public, whatever. It's just, I just be like, please don't be like my past. Anyway, that's enough.